That's Thomas. I'm Ryan Kruesi, that's Trent Mercado, this is Kruesi Originals, and we're back working on a M8 Street Bob. We're probably finishing this thing up today. We're going to be putting on a nice polished Stealth Performance exhaust, a new air cleaner, the seat, and finishing up the rear wheel spacing and that kind of shit. And I think it's done. Is it done?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it should be done after all of that.
Shoulda, woulda, coulda. We'll go over everything. We'll test ride it. We're also probably going to take the 05 giveaway bike out for a test ride and announce when it's going to go live for giving it away to you people.
Oh, we need to measure out and get brake lines.
Son of a bitch.
The double banjo or what? Yeah, and then bleed the brakes. Then it's done.
Well, we're not riding this thing today.
This is a nice, beautiful, polished Stealth pipe you
made.
can find on KruesiOriginals.com. This is just their regular. They have like 8 different muffler options. This is their reverse cone. I personally like it the best. It's just clean, simple, effective, gets the job done. And their head pipe. You need one of these to put it on there. You need this to mount the muffler to this to mount this to the bike. Bet you didn't know that. This is new for me. I'm not used to being on camera so much. All right, I'm putting this pipe on. Don't forget, I know it's super exciting when you get a new pipe, but don't forget to put the O2 sensors in before you get it on the bike, or you're gonna have a hard time or have to pull it back off, all that shit. Also, I got the bracket on loose. Leave everything loose until everything's on it. Let's see if I can get this thing on without moving the mid controls, which is not looking like it'll go. I just had to loosen the mid control mount to get the pipe to clear. Might have to take it off.
Guess who's back? My previous week was rough. So Thursday before last, I started feeling like shit. And then Friday night, I started really feeling like shit. And then Saturday, we went to the Renaissance Festival in full cosplay. It was great. I got really sick. And then I got really, really sick. And then really sick turned into a really bad sinus infection. And then I was all last week. Had to eat a bunch of antibiotics and a bunch of other stuff. And my wedding anniversary was on Thursday, the 22nd. And we went on vacation for our wedding anniversary, and I was sick. So I really just slept in a really nice, comfy hotel room, more like a little inn, the Strawberry Inn in Strawberry, Arizona. It's a tiny little town of like 200 people. It's great. And just slept for 10 hours a day. And I feel a lot better now, thank God, because I've had COVID. Nothing. It's nothing. Massive sinus infection. Wow. That's some shit. This goes to show when you get a cold, you should slow down and rest and let yourself get better instead of rocking and rolling and partying and still going hard and working every day, because it turns into really bad sickness.
I'll play this back for you next time you do that.
Yeah, I didn't learn anything. But man, it sucked. It was so bad. My throat was like swollen shut and I couldn't sleep because every time I'd fall asleep, I'd like start suffocating and shit. It was crazy. But I'm back. Feel pretty good. Went to the gym this morning. Back alive. Well, I was gone for that whole week. I came in on Tuesday, sat on the couch and did some computer stuff and felt like I was going to die. And I went home and then Trent tackled a whole bunch of things. What did you do, Trent?
I buttoned up that road glide, June's husband's road glide. It was on this lift that's behind me. Finished the clutch on that. Kind of figured out what the issue was with the 05 and figured that out. We just moved the main power to the taillight from the accessory wire to another wire that had full battery power when the key was on, because the accessory has full power with the key off still on that bike. Still haven't really figured that out. It's kind of weird.
It's got an old security system issue.
That's what it is. Okay, yeah. Old security system shit before my time, you know?
Well, no, it's just an old security system that's having issues.
I just like to make them feel old.
Something goofy. So the security system always sends out like 6 volts to everything in the accessory at all times. So like if the bike gets shook, you know, somebody tries to steal it, blah, blah, blah. That's why when you have a security system on your bike, your battery goes dead all the time because it's always drawing. But we tried to get rid of that and make it go away. So I killed the security system, because when you put an LED light in, an LED light will light up with 6 volts. Everything else won't. That little LED is so sensitive that the 6 volts trigger the light. I killed the security system, which killed that problem. And we thought we had it sorted till Trent tried to ride the bike and realized that the bike won't start because I killed the security system. So
yeah, no power was getting sent to the starter.
So it was tripping, which there is not actually a security system on the bike anymore. It's just the ECM thinks there is, so it's always sending a security like, I don't, it's a old goofy situation. Like early 2000s security systems on Harleys were kind of junk. So a lot of people got rid of them, but even though you got rid of it, the aftermath was still there. Like it still left the afterbirth behind, you know, and nobody ate it. Nobody gained their powers. It's a weird situation, so we had.
Was that a thing?
Yeah, you didn't know that?
No.
Yeah, you can get power from that.
From afterbirth?
Yeah, if you eat it.
Placenta?
People still do that.
They do that
They put it in capsules.
and eat it that way? I thought you just raw dogged it.
People still put. She's saying people still put it in capsules. If you can't hear from behind the camera.
People still eat afterbirth. Why in the? I don't even know what afterbirth is, but it sounds.
That's what. Yeah, it's placenta. Right?
I don't know what the placenta is either, but sounds like that's that thing in the bottom, right?
I'd give it a shot. Try anything once, you know.
I've ate dirtier shit. Wiring thing, back to that. So Trent wired it into a different power for the accessory, because it just needs accessory for the running lights while you're riding, and then brake is on its own shit, so that doesn't matter. So ran it into a different accessory, so now, boom, it works, everything's fine, there's no draw, everything's dialed. But, let me just show you. Go around that way.
There you go. Yeah, just show them.
There's no key in the bike, the key's off, there's no power to nothing, right? If you hit the brakes with the key off, some forking how the brakes are still getting power, no idea. So it's either, which they're not getting full power because that's not how bright the brake light is, that's only 6 volts. So we either have it like this all the time, film the old tail light there, with the key off, power hooked off, the ignition unplugged completely, it will still light up that much, that's 6 volts. That's not how much this actually lights up. It's really bright as hell. But on the 6 volts, it's like that. So we wired it to not draw current when it's sitting, but if you give it brake, then it will draw the current. So this is just like a turn the draw off switch. The brakes are now. That's the 6 volts. That's 12 volts. That's brake. I've been building custom motorcycles and a Harley-Davidson mechanic for 15 years, and I've been a car mechanic for 10 years before that. I've been a mechanic for a long, long, long time at a very high level, and I have never, ever, ever seen this shit before. This is the craziest little mystery ever, but we're gonna run it. Runs good, and whoever gets this bike is gonna have a super trick tail light, so you can like signal your homies. You can be like, that's Morris Bro right there. Bro. Bro. Bro, 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 bro. I just measured up some brake lines. I'm gonna double check them again, actually. We're gonna run double lines on this thing just so she looks nice and clean, because they don't really make a splitter for a mid-glide that looks correct. She's not lining?
No, she is. You good with that little clearance right there on the cam cover? You want me because it came with a spacer too, like a muffler spacer. I can bring it out or.
Well, you can also adjust that. You haven't tightened any of this down, it's gonna get
that's all
tighter
it is.
too.
Yeah.
But you can pull this guy in over back on the backside. And kind of draw it this way to draw this guy out, and then kind of draw this one on the top. I'd get the top guys tight first, and then snug these, and then you might have to shim that a little bit.
Came with this little guy, and then it came with
I'd
this.
probably run these dudes loose for a little bit too, till you get it lined up, so that's gonna have a little bit of, oh, you got that guy too?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, run that. But loosen these dudes up too, so this guy can rock back and forth.
All right.
And then get everything dialed. Putting on an exhaust is not just putting on an exhaust. If you just throw exhaust on your bike, you're gonna break your exhaust, you're gonna break your bracket, and you're gonna be all that shit breaks all the time. It breaks because of you, not because of the exhaust company. It breaks because of the install. Shit has to be aligned properly, and you have to really, really be meticulous on making sure that it's not in a bind. If you have a gap and you go, yeah, and you just crank it down, or you just tighten this, and then you go tighten the head bolts, and then you just put that head pipe in a bind, you put that muffler in a bind, you put that bracket in a bind, and it's on a Harley-Davidson shaking like this nonstop, and it's in a bind, it's gonna go shing, and it's gonna shear itself off. That's why exhaust breaks. It is not because of how it was manufactured, it is not because of how it was built, it is not because of the product, it is because of the install. 95% of the time. It's always because it was put in a bind, it was installed improperly, it is not fully aligned properly, it is not shimmed properly, it is not set up properly. It is very important. Exhaust install is a science. Thomas is back.
Sometimes if you just look around in boxes, they'll give you exactly what you need. It's crazy. I knew I had seen at least one.
I'm still not feeling very great or very ambitious.
Where did you go this weekend?
I went to Mexico this weekend. Went to Mexicali. It's a border of California and Mexico, kind of like just west of Yuma, about 4 hours from here. To some show. I don't know what I can't remember what the show was called, but it was quite the experience. I went with Kevin and Zach. Kevin said there was going to be a hotel, right? There was not a hotel, which, okay, you know. So I ended up sharing a room with Kevin, Zach, and myself with a queen bed on the floor. Real old school. The logistics were not up to par with Kruesi Originals, let's say that. But it was a fun show. We work hard for those nice weekend stays, you know?
We go on the road a lot. Spent a lot of years on the road, sleeping with like 16 dudes in one hotel room, and
Yeah, I'm not gonna be able to
ain't doing that shit no more. I'm staying luxury. That show's gonna pay us enough money to at least get us a nice ass hotel, or we're not going. We don't go to shows for free no more. Past that point in my life.
It was fun. It was a good time.
We also, for you, those of you that don't know, because I keep forgetting to announce this, but we have memberships, whatever that entails, on our YouTube now. And members get exclusive early viewing of all the videos. Instead of waiting till the premiere day of the videos, you get to watch them as soon as we load them, which are days in advance usually. So you can watch them immediately instead of waiting till Tuesday or Thursday at 5:30 like all the common folk out there. If you don't want to be like the rest of the poppers, get on the membership page, and you also get some fancy emojis and some other goofy shit that I don't really understand, but you get to comment with different things, and it just helps us out create more content, because if you guys haven't noticed, we say words like mother and cocksucker a lot, so we are on the ad suitability thing all the time, which means we don't really get paid by YouTube really at all. So a membership thing would help. It would definitely help for production costs and all that thing, so we can keep moving forward making these videos, because we're going to keep making these videos, but right now it's just costing us money, so help us out. And June is trying to talk us into bringing the podcast back and start doing a podcast again, so
I think it's a good idea, so we're trying to talk you into it, really.
Trent wants to do it too. I don't really want to do it because I got so much shit on my plate already to take on one more thing, but that's up to you guys. I say you comment down below, and maybe if we get enough people saying you should get the podcast going again, we'll bring the podcast back. The podcast will be on Patreon exclusively though, so we don't have to deal with censorship and editing out shit that we say that YouTube gets upset about, because we don't want to have to do that. We want to just run it and say whatever we want to say and be our normal selves for a podcast. So it will be on Patreon. What do you guys think? You know, we'll probably do like a monthly
Start with like a
podcast.
monthly, see how it pops off.
Yeah, we got any of the homies coming to town. We might sit down and do a podcast with them. But the podcast used to be called On a Good One with Kruesi, and really just when friends would come to town, we'd just get wasted and do a podcast with them. But
Maybe change that narrative a little bit.
yeah, we don't really do that anymore. So do I want to just do Sober Guy podcast? I don't know.
We don't have to be sober, but we don't have to get trash.
I don't know. I mean, I don't even smoke grass anymore. It just seems weird to me. That was like,
Coffee
sit
with
back
Kruesi.
the homies and burn down a few of them and have a conversation. But oh yeah, coffee with Kruesi.
Coffee
Hi,
with
welcome
Kruesi.
back to another Coffee with Kruesi. Today we're trying a nice dark roast blend from Gripco Coffee Cycle Company.
Okay, so if you look really closely, I don't know how well the camera will pick it up, but as I tighten this, you can see the head pipe move out away from the cam chest. So you can see it move. Tightening the pipe doesn't just bring it tight to the bike, it moves the entire angle. It doesn't just like bolt on and go.
Consider those head studs up there that bolts to like steering wheels. You got these two bolts, right, on both heads, and these are like steering wheels. You tighten this one, the pipe moves this way. You tighten these ones, it moves this way, and vice versa. And then you can move it this way and all over the place. You can articulate the out of it. So when you're tightening these, you got to watch your cam chest and you got to watch your exhaust bracket clearance, because you want to ideally have that thing perfectly touching. You don't want it pressing and you don't want it pulling away from there. So you're going to use your little steering wheels, and you still got to get them tight as hell, but you got to move them in sequence so that thing moves into just touching flush perfectly. If you're putting any pressure on it, you're in a bind. You're going to break your head pipe, you're going to break your muffler, you're going to break your bracket. If you're out too far and then you tighten that, you're in a bind. You're going to break all those things again. It needs to be just right. And you got to make sure that you're not touching the foot pegs, you're not touching the cam plate, none of that stuff. These are all things that I think are seriously neglected by a lot of people and a lot of people out there showing people how to do it. Like, it's not talked about enough in the exhaust world, and people are always bitching about their exhaust breaking, and that's all companies. It doesn't matter what company it is. Stealth is probably the most unbreakable pipe that I've ever ran, but it really boils down to its install. I just cracked the head pipe on mine. I got a shitload of miles on mine. I've had it for a long time. My head pipe cracked. My head pipe cracked because my bracket, the bolt backed off and was loose, which I just noticed yesterday when I was gonna pull the head pipe off. Yeah. Which if I would have been checking my bike and been doing like nut and bolt checks on my stunt bike, like you should be doing on a stunt bike.
Also very important, it's neglected. But
also a very important thing on a Harley Davidson too, to run through and check bolts, but get lazy. And I hadn't, so that was loose by about 1/8 of an inch. So that's enough for that exhaust to be rattling back there and create a little harmonic note that's gonna go woo, and a little harmonic bzzz is like a buzz saw after time in steel, especially an exhaust steel that is thin, blazing fucking hot. So it's just gonna yit and just sheared right through the weld where my collector mounted up. So now I have a big crack in my weld because not of manufacturing, not of anything but my own negligence to my motorcycle. Softails are the biggest motherfuckers to put wheels in. Twin cams and M8. There you go, you cock tease. Well, here we are. Trent got the exhaust on. Everything's all lined up. Everything's all dialed. I am going to put in the rear wheel. Got anti-seize of the seize of the anti all over me. I'm going to set up the chain, and then we're going to align it, button it up, and then me and Trent are going to go to the lot to go do a little riding because we have a show this weekend with Modded Culture down in Tucson. Modded Mayhem, I believe, down at the Tucson Dragway. Senders only is going to come out and ride with us. It's going to be pretty sick. It's going to be too late, but by the time you see this, but you should have been on top of things anyways and came and watched us because it's going to be a dope show. But other than that, I just got to set this chain up. This thing's almost done, besides the brake lines and shit that we're waiting on. It's in the wrong spot. Got to hit that link. It's got, dude, that couldn't line up any worse. Look at how much slack I'm going to have to eat up. We run 55 tooth sprockets on these because it's a 6-speed and they're really, really tall geared in 6th gear and it sucks. So a 55 makes them rip really good. You could still run the freeway really, really hard. We ride at 100 miles an hour everywhere we go, and 55 is where it's at. This kid wanted a 53, and 53 just makes this line up just wrong to where I got to jump this thing back to here. I can't eat that much slack up. We're gonna have to drive it, stretch it, and then redo it again. Nope. That's bracelet.
heat shields, man, they're important. Keep the heat off your leg. And more importantly, they keep your shoe off the pipe. If you're anything like me, I can't keep my shoes off my pipe. Save my life. Apparently they sell heat shields. I'll have them on the website by the time you watch this video. And they are a nice add-on to your stealth performance pipe.
I need one. My shoes melted all over my goddamn pipe every time I drift.
We can't keep our shoes off our pipes, you know.
Just a few years ago, I couldn't keep anybody off my pipe. This is a pretty much just Amazon chain install tool right here. Works pretty well for putting these together. I bet there's more expensive ones out there, but I don't really see the purpose of buying one. Yeah, first thing you do is press the links on. You just gotta watch the O-rings. You wanna keep the same amount of gap between these two down here as these guys. Next, after we pressed them out and you got a little bit of nipplage sticking out there, you're gonna screw this dude out. There's a spring and the big fat pin. Spring goes on the pin. Slide that dude in there like that. You only screw that dude out so it sticks out that much. You can screw this all the way down and have it stick out a mile, but all you'll do is bend the shit out of it. So it only goes down that much. I'm gonna grab the old plunger on the back side. This guy, she's just a hole. This dude goes in here. We're just gonna mushroom that out. A poof?
Yeah, what was that?
It's just from the pressure. It's got lubricants packed down on the end of the hole.
I'll do a little poof.
I'll do a little poof. When you compress and crush some steel like that really hard too, you create a lot of heat. Bill Nye. Bill Deny.
Guy.
Never watched it. Bill Nye the Science Guy was after my time. I was, who was the dude that was before him? You know what I'm talking about? Bill Nye was like an imitation of Dr. Something or How It's Done. He always did them experiments, and he'd have little kids on there, and then they would like do the experiments, and he would explain the science behind it.
You know what being a millennial is? Realizing your entire childhood was a remake of Gen X's childhood.
Yeah, Bill Nye was just a ripoff of. God damn, what was the dude's
My
name?
whole
Somebody
life has just
comment
been a
down
rip-off
below
of
if you know
something
who
Gen
I'm
X.
talking about. Please let me know, because it's totally stumping me right now. But the predecessor to Bill Nye the Science Guy. Bill Nye came out like 10 years, like a decade later. It was the 80s. He was Dr. Do's It or something, or way before Bill Nye the Science Guy. I remember when Bill Nye the Science Guy came out, I was like, who's this cheap-ass fake motherfucker right here? Where's Dr. Doozits? whatever his name is. I know one of y'all know who I'm talking about. You Googling it, Trent?
Y'all f***ing right, I am. Mr. Wizard?
Yes!
Yes!
Mr. Wizard!
Mr. Wizard.
Mr. Wizard. The 90s were like a limp dick version of the 80s, is what it really
Bill
was.
Nye sounds a whole lot better than Mr. Wizard.
No.
Hey, kids, it's Mr. Wizard here.
Yeah, that works good.
Bill Nye scared the shit out of me when I was a kid, dude. He f***ing...
That's because he was a creeper.
Well, he did this like whole thing on like how the sun is just gonna expand one day and just like engulf the entire universe or like our solar system and then explode.
Nice.
And as like a fourth grader, I freaked out for like a week. I thought I was gonna die, dude. It was terrible.
Trent's been shaking ever since.
Changed my life.
We can't stop here, man. This is sun exploding country. She's torqued. F***ing torqued. F***ing 4 torques there, bud. Man, that's about it. Put a seat on her. All right, so here's what we got so far. Front of the bike is almost done, except for the brake lines. We've got a Kruesi Originals Skynet wheel, Kruesi Originals North Star rotors, Kruesi Originals Baja Designs headlight bracket, Kruesi Originals top mount headlight conversion for any model of Harley Davidson with a normal handlebar spread. We've got a bunch of thrash and supply stuff up here. Elite Mototech lever on a Brembo RCS 19, Elite Mototech lever on the clutch, Kruesi Originals K-bar engine guard, whole bunch more thrash and supply stuff down here, Kruesi Originals foot pegs, Stealth Performance exhaust in stainless with a Stealth Performance heel guard, heat guard, put the guard anywhere you want to guard. We didn't even know they sold these till we got this one. Pretty stoked about that. Saddleman tuck and roll, Kruesi Originals North Star rotor in the back, Kruesi Originals Skynet rim. Around to the other side, we have a Kruesi Originals Skynet chain drive kit, full polished. Our chain drive kit, we did a chrome outer primary with derby cover, converted it to mid controls with a Kruesi Originals foot peg. This is a thrash and foot peg right here. And that's about where we're at. We're waiting on brake lines. We got some Brembos up front. We'll have those set up once we have the brake lines. But we don't have them, and it's 3. We're gonna go to the lot. We're gonna do some riding, so stay posted, because right now we're gonna throw down some shredding videos. That's a wrap. We going home. Wore out. Gonna stop by Angie's Prime Grill and swoop up some muscle building food because they got that super fire shit there. It's a little lunch truck right by the lot. It's real good, and I'm real hungry, and I'm gonna call it a night. It's Kruesi Originals. Stay posted. We got a bunch of shows coming up. Peace.